Next, we have Rafi Haladjian, a true visionary who created a product called Nabastag 10 years ago, which was a connected object really, really early on. And I'm delighted to have Rafi, who is the founder of a new company called Sen.se. Rafi.
Hi, my name is Rafi. I'm 51. I'm kind of French, so I'm going to do this presentation in broken English. Like Loic said, back in 2003, I founded a company, this company called Violet, with the ambition of connecting everything to the internet. It seemed to us back then that since the technology was becoming available and affordable for connecting everything, it was unavoidable that everything will end up connected to the internet. But since connecting everything is a hard job, we needed to start somewhere. So we started by connecting rabbits. This is how we launched Nabastag, the very first Wi-Fi connected rabbit. Back then, we had a very simple two-stage strategy. Step 1, connect rabbits. Step 2, connect everything else. But the time has passed, and what was not yet called the Internet of Things back in 2003 has become news, and there are events like this for the Internet of Things. I started thinking maybe focusing on devices and focusing on things was not the right thing to do, and maybe we are looking at the finger when the finger is pointing to the moon, as the old Chinese Zen proverb says. So what I want to discuss today is what I think the moon is. I'm going also to discuss things like how we are going to escape fishbowls, how the Machina habilis evolutionary grade is moving to the Machina sapiens grade, and if I have time left, I will talk about the meaning of life. I will start by this drawing from one of Tom Ego's book. If you ask today to a computer or a mobile phone or whatever to draw a sketch of its users, it would draw this, a finger with an eye and ears, because all he gets to know about its user is this, the finger that taps on it or touches the mouse, the eye that sees the screen, and the ears that hears its sound. And everything else that is us and that is our environment is completely oblivious to it. Actually, our relation today with data is like our relation with fishbowls. Our data is trapped in a fishbowl, and it cannot get out of that, and it sits somewhere in our environment. And from time to time, we go to that fishbowl, we tap on the glass, and we see all these fishes come out and marvel at how they are reacting to our tapping, and then we go back to our dumb environment. We have called this model the ticket counter model, in French, le modèle du guichet. In the ticket counter model, it means that whatever you are doing, at some period, you need to go to a special place in order to register data and to get information. So our lives until now has gone like this. You live a little bit, and then you sidestep to input or get data, then you get back to your lives, and then you sidestep again to get some information, and so on. We feel like we have gone a long way with all the evolution of the devices that we have with us or in our pockets, back from the days of the Minitel, for those of you who are French and old enough to know what it is. And we think that mobile phones are the ultimate thing because we are putting the ticket counter back directly in our pockets. But everything we have got until now is still like a kind of a Minitel, because at a certain moment you need to sidestep from what you are doing to input the data. So is there a life after this Minitel model? Yes, it is, because there are all these kind of new products that are coming out, that some of them have been presented to you here, that are able to get data from the user in a passive way or are directly embedded in the fabric of the life of their users. So what we see appearing is a model in which the user lives its lives, and there are stuff and devices directly embedded that are not disruptive in its life, and they are getting data from what he's doing. And we have called this the sensible and reactive environment, just for the sake of giving it a name, because you need to give names to things. So to give an example of this and how this changes things, let's say you run in the morning, and when you are done running, you need to do several things. First, to remember that you need to log information about your running. B, to be motivated enough to go to the next or the closest ticket counter to register the data about your running, let's say your iPhone, and then report data of your running without cheating, and make some personal evaluation of how hard it was your running. Was it a light running? Did you run really hard, etc.? But it's based on your own appreciation. On the other side, you have stuff like the Fitbit that sit in your pocket all day long, whatever you do, whether you run or not, and that seamlessly get data from what you are doing, even when you are shamelessly lazy. So it gets the data all the time from what you do. So you might say, OK, this is more convenient than the data model. But it changes much, much more things than just the mere convenience of the changing of the model. What you have at the left in the ticket counter model is a few users that are motivated enough to bring, from time to time, a few information that are biased by their own appreciation and their own motivations. And since it gets some motivation to bring the information, you cannot get everybody. You will get only the really motivated people or people with real problems. While at the right, you get information in a continuous flow from people which are first in very large sets, because you don't have this threshold of motivation, and that brings you data that is calibrated the same way for all the users. To make a comparison, in the first situation, we used to get information that looks like very big pixels from time to time in grayscales from our users, while now, with all the sensors that are recording data in real time from users, we get a real picture. And in some cases, when data is really in real time, you really get a HD video from what the user is doing. And this changes pretty much what you can do out of data. This is not the same. You cannot do the same thing with when you have scarce, patchy, and biased data on one side, and when you have very accurate, calibrated, and HD data on the other side. So this is what makes that we are shifting from a model where you had the machina habilis to the machina sapiens. What is the machina habilis? It's the kind of things we imagined in all the home automation scenarios. You know, the kind of things where you can turn on the light from remote. You know, the magic of I can turn on the light from my iPhone things. And you can do things delayed, so you can program lights to turn on at certain times, or you can do it on basic conditional rules. But basically, what the device does, it's just the power of the muscle of doing things. And the objects you have are just your slaves. You make all the decisions. You make all the thinking. Whereas the machina sapiens is a machina is a machine, is a device that is nurtured by knowledge, and its fuel is knowledge. So it gets to know you better and better. It gets data, and it gets better and better at providing things. So it doesn't need you to tell him what it needs to do. It uses complex algorithms to have complex behaviors. In some cases, behaviors you could not even thought of or you could not have input in, or that would have been too cumbersome to program in an actual device. In some cases, they are going also to draw you, to give you information that you never thought you had, and make you learn things about yourself. And finally, since all the data is measured in the same way, it's going to be able to compare all the data from large sets of large users to crowdsource solution, to crowdsource information and behaviors. So we are really getting to devices that can be really smart. We always dreamed of artificial intelligence based on rules written by man, and now we have something that can really build real artificial intelligence. All it takes is to have large sets of data. And this is something we know. I mean, this is something we already have on the internet, and Google is nothing less than that. So devices that used to be slaves are going to become agents. So as we have seen, what we need is to have more and more data. The problem is that the motivation of users and the interest of users for data is like this. It goes through 3 different stages. In the beginning, when you start using a new tool like the Fitbit or devices that record your energy consumption, you are very motivated because this is really new for you. You are learning stuff out of a period where you didn't know anything. So anything you can know, even if the information is scarce and there is very little information, it is new, and so it is interesting for you. So this is the revolution period. At the end of the history, when you have built a large legacy of data, you are, first you have your legacy and you don't want to lose it. And it brings you real value because the more data you have, the more accurate it is and the more it tells about your life. So this is interesting. But the problem is that in the middle, you have this. You have what we call the data desert, a period where the payoff between your effort to get the data in and what you get out of the data you are registering seems very poor and not really, really interesting. So this brings really design challenges, because if your tool or your device is not made like a camel that can go through this data desert, then you will lose this customer. You are going to lose that user, and he'll never going to make it to the data nirvana of the 3rd stage. So for instance, all solutions that are based on smartphone apps where you expect the user that day in, day out registers data on its iPhone work in the first period and never make it to the second period. Or devices that need to be recharged every now and then never make it to a second period. So it is, if you want to record a lot of data, you need to make devices that are made to record a lot of data, and technical choices are key to do that. So since the days of Violet, we have moved our focus. We used to think that the name of the game was connecting object, and now we are convinced that the real name of the game, the real deep trend, is how we are going to make life intelligible. And connecting device is just one way to get there. And this is why we have created Sense. At Sense, we decided to make the things in the opposite way than what we did at Violet. First, start by creating the means of connecting whatever to whatever, creating some infrastructure to let everything talk to everything else. And then, once we have that, make our own stuff. So the first thing we have built is this. What is this? This is the Core Sense platform. The Core Sense platform is an infrastructure we have worked 2 years to build that does simple things like connecting all sorts of things, so all sorts of devices, or even other sources of information, could be virtual information, store large amount of information it gets from all these inputs, process these devices in real time through different apps, different algorithms, depending on what the user wants to do, obviously visualize this data, and then, when accurate, trigger action. So this infrastructure is what we offer to companies who want to make their devices connected or to people who are building devices. But since we had this infrastructure, and it's a sin not to share, we have made a special version of our platform for everyone who wants to play with it, developers, designers, or anyone curious enough to see what it gets to have your Fitbit talking to your WeThings, to your Arduinos, to the weather forecast, or what have you. So the OpenSense is a free service everybody can use to stage new type of services and see what works, what doesn't work, and how you make things long-lasting behaviors and fun stuff. And finally, we are going to use this platform to make our own thing. Unfortunately, the timing of LeWeb was not good for us, so this slide is going to remain blank because it's too soon for us to tell you what our new products are going to look like. The only things I can tell you now, I can tell you 4 things. First, it's not going to be an animal, or not quite. Second, obviously, this is going to be the product of all the ideas I have discussed today. Third, we hope, if everything goes according to plan, which probably it won't, be on the market by Q2 2013. And 4, if you want to stay tuned, please follow us on Twitter. One more word. So we moved from a period where we connected all this stuff to the internet. Now we are on the verge of connecting real slices of people's life seamlessly to the internet. So on this slide, where are the things? Are they on the top or the bottom of the slide? It seems to me that it is more accurate to say that today we are at the end of the Internet of Things and at the beginning of something else. Because life is going to be connected directly without the screen of all these cumbersome machines that stand between us and knowledge. At Sense, and as a tribute to the Monty Pythons, we have called this the meaning of life. And this is a life with a small l, obviously. And this is what we are building. Thank you very much.